Have you heard about the 3 T's for communication? I hadn't ever heard about them, and I learned about them in the past few weeks. I'm Kelly Grill, and I'd like to share them with you. The 3 T's for communication are time, touch, and talk. And they are from a book called Light Her Fire, Light His Fire by Ellen Kreidman. And I learned about these in the past few weeks, and I love these because they are truly what we need for communication with our significant others. More time, touch, and talking. And communicating is so good for happiness because it helps us to make sure that our point of view is being heard. Or like they say, we find our voice. Because as a business coach used to tell me, if you sweep things under the rug and don't communicate, it makes a really bumpy rug. So we need to communicate with our spouses, with our significant others, with our bosses, with our siblings, with our friends and our family. It's all about communication. I'd love to share a small story with you. So years ago, Dave and I were living in a home, married, and had about 8 horses at the time. And he was working his job, his corporate job, at being a buyer for scrap metal. And I would feed the horses in the morning and at night, and he would go off to his job. Well, one morning, my sister was sharing some information with me about a home they were purchasing, and I wasn't able to get the horses all fed by 8 a.m. Well, so a little bit later that morning, I was sharing with Dave on the phone that I didn't get the horses fed until about 10 a.m. And they were impatient and they were kind of mad at me, but I got them fed, and I usually have them fed by 8. Well, Dave just casually said, "Oh, it's okay. They're not on a schedule." And I'll tell you what, that made me mad. I didn't realize it made me mad until I hung up the phone and started thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? Those horses are on a schedule, and I keep them on a really good schedule, feeding them morning and night. So I called him at the office and I said, "We need to talk." And he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "It hurt my feelings when you said that the horses aren't on a schedule." And he said, "Well, I just meant that they don't have to be fed at exactly 8 o'clock. They can be fed later because they're spoiled and they're very fat." And I said, "I know, but it still hurt my feelings." And he apologized and said, "It wasn't what I meant. And I'm glad you called me because I wouldn't have wanted it to fester." And I said, "Me too." So we said we loved each other, and then we hung up the phone. And I was so glad I called him. So communication is really the key in keeping our lives happier and a lot more clarity. Because if you've got something that you're holding a grudge about or just feeling weird about, it could be something that could create trouble down the road. I also wanted to share with you, I love the book, The 5 Love Languages. And if you don't know what they are quality time, physical touch, acts of service, gifts, or words of affirmation. And I love that book. It's such a great book. If you want to read it, it applies to everyone. Everyone falls into one of those categories. And it's a great book to read and study about communication with your friends, your family, your significant other. And I highly recommend that you communicate throughout your life because it will make you happier and you'll feel like you have a voice and you have shared your feelings and your point of view. And I'd love you to subscribe to this YouTube channel or give us a thumbs up and sign up for our email newsletters. The link is in the description box. Thanks so much. I'm Kelly Grill, Equine Gestalt Coach, and my horses and I say we will see you down the trail.